Well, that was interesting. What is up? GoodMicWork back at you. The Royal Rumble 2017 is in the books, and I'm here to talk about it. I gotta say, I liked the show. So far, the reaction I'm seeing on Twitter has not been overwhelmingly positive. I think I must have liked the show a lot better than others. So far, a lot of people are just a little bit baffled by a few things. I have to admit that what held this show down was a little bit of the booking problems in the Royal Rumble. Some of the things they were doing was just a little bit head-scratching. But aside from the typical dumb decisions that the WWE makes, I thought the wrestling was really good on this show. I like this Royal Rumble a lot better than some of the previous Royal Rumbles we've seen, especially in recent memory. I'm hoping that we can at least all agree on that. So I'm not really going to spend this time throughout the commentary crapping on the Royal Rumble. I'm pretty much going to talk about what I liked. I just wanted to mention right up front that I understand anybody's issues with it. So if you hear me praising the pay-per-view too much later on, don't freak out. I do understand people's issues with it, and we'll talk about a lot of that stuff as we go through here. But overall, I thought the match quality was good. I thought the crowd enthusiasm was solid. And I thought it was a pretty overall good pay-per-view when you look at the entire thing. So let's just start right from the beginning. This was an incredibly long show. It was 6 hours if you include the 2-hour kickoff show. And as far as my predictions go, I think I went 5 for 8. I predicted the entire main card correctly except for the Royal Rumble match. And I got 2 out of the 3 incorrectly on the kickoff show. So we'll start right off with that. The opening match was the 6-man ladies match from SmackDown that they had moved, I guess, over the weekend to the kickoff show. I think it was supposed to be on the main card. I predicted the heels to win here. Mickie James just returned to the company a couple of weeks ago. It would seem like they would want to get a few victories under her belt to get her rolling. But the match, I guess, was really just made to set up the next title feud for Alexa Bliss. She'll be taking on Naomi. Naomi got the victory in this by pinning her. So clearly Naomi will be the next lady in line to get a title shot or two against Alexa Bliss, which is good. Everybody likes Naomi. She's athletic. She's different. And I have no problem with that at all. Thought the heels would win, but definitely not complaining about Naomi's opportunity. Next up, we had the tag team titles that were on the line. This is a match that I thought should be on the main card, especially if we saw a title change, and we did. Gallows and Anderson won the belts from Sheamus and Cesaro. The whole double referee thing was going on. One of them got knocked out, and Gallows and Anderson got the pin. The building was only about 30% full for this match, and I just didn't like the stage that it came on. I know we've had some title changes on pre-shows before. It's not that uncommon, but, you know, I was just kind of hoping maybe for a bigger moment for Gallows and Anderson, and maybe them winning on the main card would have been a little bit more enjoyable. But whatever, they won the tag team belts finally. I'm fine with that. Hopefully their run will be a successful run, and they can build up some momentum, and hopefully still sometime in the future do something with Finn Balor whenever he returns from injury. The third match on the kickoff show was Nia Jax damn near squashing Sasha. It was a pretty short match. Sasha got in a little bit of offense, still selling the injured leg or whatever, but Nia made pretty quick work of her. I predicted Nia to win that correctly. I don't think I really expected her to do it in the dominating fashion that she did, but nonetheless, she got her hand raised there, and they're off and running building her. So now you got to think ahead to WrestleMania and what kind of a title match they might do. I guess we'll talk about that in a minute when we talk about the ladies match, which opened the show. But first, I do want to make a quick mention of Shawn Michaels. I was really hoping he would have a presence on the show. He was on the kickoff panel discussing things with Renee Young and Jerry Lawler and Booker T, and then he cut a promo right at the end of the kickoff show, right before the main show started, and it was great. He wasn't even out there to plug his movie or anything like that. He just talked about his time in the Royal Rumble 20 years ago, the pay-per-view that I just recently reviewed on my YouTube channel, and the big match with Sid and him winning the WWE title, and how he had the flu and all of that, and he really did a good job, I think, of hyping up the crowd and getting them jacked and ready for the Royal Rumble. Shawn just cut a great promo. Even though there wasn't a point to the promo other than to welcome the crowd to the show and get them ready, it was still a lot better than something like that should have been. Now, the first match on the main card was the Raw Women's title, Charlotte defending against Bayley, and as this would be the theme throughout the Royal Rumble, this match really exceeded my expectations. I have not been that complimentary of Bayley, but tonight she showed me a really great side. I enjoyed this match. I enjoyed everything I saw from Bayley. I thought she fought real hard, and I thought Charlotte just showed how dominant and awesome she was. She came out there looking great. I love her robes. I love her look, her attitude, her whole overall package and demeanor is awesome. I am such a big Charlotte fan. You guys know that. And the match couldn't have been better. I mean, these girls busted their asses in there. Bayley had some great stuff. That great elbow from the top rope, which I think might have been what busted Charlotte's mouth open. As you notice, she was bleeding from her mouth there, and she got hit somewhere, probably from that elbow. And the great finish, too, with a natural selection on the apron, and rolled Bayley in the ring and got the pin and continued to roll. She's 16-0 or something like that, I think they said, on pay-per-view, and that's ridiculous. So I'm wondering, with one more pay-per-view still to go until WrestleMania, whatever the WrestleMania match will be, I'm wondering if it will be a four-way. It could be Sasha and Nia and Charlotte and Bayley. You got to wonder if maybe WrestleMania will be the place that someone dethrones Charlotte, but maybe not yet. I mean, she's got that pay-per-view streak going. So I think if it's a four-way, Charlotte will probably retain at WrestleMania. If it's a one-on-one, then she could potentially lose it. But unless they do one-on-one with her and Nia Jax, I kind of smell a multi-woman match at Mania at this point. But that could change. Great match, and congrats to Charlotte for retaining. Next matchup was the Universal title. And I was kind of surprised to see this match come so early. Roman Reigns versus Kevin Owens, Chris Jericho suspended in the shark cage. And they come out there, and I'm tweeting just like I talked about last week, don't get in there, Jericho. Who's to say you have to get in there? It's no DQ. And he didn't. Him and Owens actually jumped Roman Reigns, and they both beat him down for a while until Reigns kind of fought him off, and then Jericho finally got locked in the cage and raised up to the rafters there. And the two of them go on to have an amazing match. Another match that exceeded my expectations, so far beyond what I thought this match would be. Both guys worked their asses off, especially Roman. He was taking some crazy punishment and still was just fast and strong, just showing how athletic he is. I think I underrate this guy's athleticism. He is quite good when he wants to be. And, you know, all the hate for Roman Reigns aside, who cares about how the WWE's booking him or how his character is or how bad he sucks at promos? All of that aside for a second and just forget about it and judge the match for what it was awesome. The frog splash onto Roman, through the table onto the ring floor, the tons of spots on the outside of the ring and the announce tables and the ring posts, and Kevin Owens going backwards into the chair fort that they had built, this big tower of chairs, and he just went back first. How somebody survives that, I have no idea. And luckily for us, we started speculating, or I did, last week that maybe Roman Reigns wasn't going to win this belt after all, because now that it's no DQ, anybody can come out there and interfere on Kevin Owens' behalf, and it doesn't have to be Jericho. And somebody did, and it was a big somebody. Braun Strowman came out there. I kind of thought maybe Seth Rollins would come out, or Triple H, because of their thing that's going on. But it wound up being Braun Strowman instead, and I really didn't care. As long as Roman Reigns didn't win that belt, it was fine with me. There was 50,000 people there booing their asses off for him. Strowman came out there and powerbombs Roman on, I think, the German announce table, which had no give at all. And I think his head, the back of his head even hit the monitor that was sitting there. And that allowed Kevin Owens to finish him off and get the pin and retain the title. And he's still champion. So now he's going to be going into Fastlane to defend against somebody. I'm not sure what they're going to do. Seems like Roman Reigns will be moving on now to face Braun Strowman potentially at WrestleMania or potentially at Fastlane. Maybe they just do this match right now, because there might be another match WWE has in mind for Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, and we'll talk about that later on when we talk about the Royal Rumble. But as far as this match goes, I couldn't say enough good things about it. It could have been a lot worse in my mind, because don't forget, we've seen Owens and Reigns interact a lot on Monday Night Raw. They've even had singles matches on Monday Night Raw, so this is not a new match. And for them to perform at this level and really have the fans into it and everybody really appreciating the match, especially since Roman Reigns didn't win. So congrats to Owens for surviving again, and both of you guys busted your ass, so buy each other a beer later. I don't know. Next up, we had Rich Swann defending the Cruiserweight title against Neville, and as predicted, Neville did come out on top of this match. He tapped out Rich Swann with his finisher, whatever the hell it's called, and it was a pretty good match. It was really tough to follow that amazing Roman and Owens match. The crowd was so hot for that, so they were definitely a little deader for this. But again, if you kind of put the crowd shit out of your mind and just watch the match, it was pretty good. And I was glad that Neville won via tap out instead of like rolling up Swann and holding his tights or putting his foot on the ropes or something shady like that. I want Neville to be booked as a monster. I talked about that a couple of weeks ago. So for him to tap out Swann, I thought was the right thing to do. And now I'm sure they're going to have a whole slew of rematches in the next couple of weeks, which should be pretty good. Up next is what I consider to be the match of the night, and I'm not sure if too many people are going to disagree with that. I thought Reigns and Owens was going to be the match of the night, and I was hoping that Cena and AJ could follow that. but they did more than follow it. That was an epic performance and title match by both guys. I have been so impressed with AJ Styles since he's come into the WWE. I love the fact that they put the title on him 8 months after he got there, and he's had a pretty damn successful run with it. He's had multiple victories, including clean ones over WWE's poster boy. I have just been amazed with WWE's treatment of AJ Styles, and I thought he has carried that WWE title with honor and pride and confidence and like a true champion. I mean, AJ is just, he's amazing. So I had a feeling that sooner or later he was going to have to run into John Cena again, and when they started building for this match, we saw great stuff on SmackDown, great interactions between the two, great promos, great story between them, how it dates all the way back to last summer. Such a contrast of styles and personalities because of where they came from. One's an independent guy, one's a WWE guy, different fan bases. Everything is so perfect for this feud. And now we've got this big culmination, this big match that they're going to have at the Royal Rumble, 50,000 people with a title on the line this time. I had a pretty good feeling John Cena was going to win this match, and I was going to be okay with it as long as the match was good. These guys had some great matches last year, especially that one at SummerSlam, and I was really worried that they would not be able to live up to that, but I think they did, and I think they exceeded it. The buzz on Twitter during this match was amazing. I mean, I was on the edge of my seat for the whole thing. There was a lot of stuff going on. I mean, there was a lot of spots. Just like in the Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns match, we saw a lot of kickouts, and it was causing a little bit of chatter online. Oh, there's so many kickouts, and what's a finisher? And everybody's kicking out of finishers. I remember getting tweets from people bitching about Roman Reigns. He doesn't sell anything. He kicks out of everything. You're blaming it on Roman Reigns when it's not a Roman Reigns problem, just like it's not a John Cena problem. This is the way wrestling is now. Everybody kicks out of everything. It's not just Roman Reigns and John Cena. Kevin Owens kicked out of a ton of shit. AJ Styles kicked out of a ton of shit. When The Miz and Dolph Ziggler had their Intercontinental title feud, they were kicking out of a ton of shit. The Kenny Omega-Okada match, they were kicking out of a ton of shit. So I'm just going to shoot that complaint right out of the water because wrestling is a little strange now. I will give you that. Yes, it does not make sense for these guys to get hit with multiple finishers and continue to kick out. It's not that believable, and I understand that completely, and I agree 1,000%. But this has been a pretty common thing in wrestling over the past few years, and this is coming from a guy that used to watch wrestling in the 70s, okay? I've seen the evolution of selling and finishers and kickouts and all of that from virtually the beginning, so I understand the complaints you have, but it's how the biz is. It's how things go now. These are the type of matches we see. And sometimes these great dramatic kickouts are good. Sometimes they're not. I'll give you that. They're not always good. Sometimes it can be overkill. And I think back of times when neither guy is over, like at WrestleMania 29 when Cena took on The Rock. Those guys were kicking out of rock bottoms and AAs left and right, and that got annoying. So I understand that sometimes it's not always great. But I didn't have any problems with it in the Owens and Reigns match, and I definitely didn't have any problems with it in the Cena and AJ match. Both of those guys were fighting their balls off, kicking out of stuff, refusing to give up. I just kind of like the story. I like the ride they took us on. And to me, that's what it's all about. It's pro wrestling, motherfuckers. We've had 80-year-old women giving birth to rubber hands. It's not supposed to make sense all of the time. And all I want is a great match. I want to be taken on a ride. And that's exactly what Owens and Reigns did. And that's exactly what Cena and AJ did. And I think both title matches came through in a huge way. I mean, what the hell else do you want in life? I mean, to pick apart every single little bad thing about it. You know, the matches were probably, 85% perfect, and then 15% of it was kind of fucked up. Don't focus on the 15%, focus on the 85%. Both matches were pretty awesome, and both matches could have been a hell of a lot worse or a lot more disappointing. So, you know, for people that could potentially be criticizing these matches, as a wrestling fan, I really don't know what else it is that you want if you found a way not to be entertained by either one of those matches. I really can't help you out. For me, for the type of wrestling fan that I am, not only did I enjoy those matches, but I was proud of those guys. I mean, I was proud of AJ Styles for that performance that he put on. Some of the fucking bumps he was taking and the selling he was doing for John Cena. I thought him and John Cena had both broken their necks a couple of times. The amazing, phenomenal forearms and the 450 splashes. And how about the finisher? That's something we haven't seen from John Cena before. What did he even do? He hit AJ with an AA. And don't forget, AJ kicked out of like a top rope AA at one point, didn't he? And then John Cena nailed him again. I think he countered the phenomenal forearm, hit him with the AA, and then rolled through right into another one, hit him with a second one, kind of making a statement and then just hooking the leg and getting the 3 count. And it was fucking crazy. Cena kicked out of a Styles clash and a forearm himself. And And it was just an incredible story. I couldn't imagine complaining about that match. It was great. And John Cena won. The crowd, they didn't really shit on it too hard. I know there's people out there that didn't like it. I explained in my last commentary that for me, it feels like that the fans are tolerating Cena a little bit more. They have to be, right? Because everybody loves SmackDown. And the guy that's feuding with SmackDown's world champion is John Cena. So if the fans really hated John Cena as bad as they used to, they wouldn't be loving SmackDown so much because a lot of it involves John Cena. And now he is their champion over there. So I'm not saying that everybody loves Cena now. I'm just saying that the people that were wishing him dead, maybe they're starting to grow up, maybe they're starting to mature a little bit. But to me, it just seems like the hate for Cena is a little bit less. And the fact that he's winning a title again, while I'm sure it's pissing off some people, it's not pissing off as many people as it has in the past. And when I think back to every single title that John Cena has won, all 16 of them, this is probably one of only 2, maybe 3 tops title victories by John Cena that I can even remember enjoying, because normally I'm not happier than any of you all are anytime he wins a world title. Most of the time I just kind of roll my eyes and like, okay, whatever, we're back to Cena, no big deal, I'm going to move on. There's only been a couple of times where I've really enjoyed one of his title wins. I think once during his feud with Edge. Actually, I can't even think of another time, so maybe just one other time. But this match was so good, I really didn't care who won. Both guys deserve an endless amount of credit. Bravo to both gentlemen. They worked their asses off, and they showed the true pros they are. I mean, when you think of professional wrestlers, when you think of guys that perform on the biggest of stages, nobody comes through on a match-by-match basis more than somebody like John Cena or AJ Styles, for that matter, since he's been in the WWE. Every title match or main event that AJ Styles has been in since he's been there, he has delivered nearly a 5-star match. They are true professionals, and that was a match that I was honored to watch. Moving on now to the Royal Rumble. It was a little bit disappointing on a few aspects because I was hoping for a few more surprise entrants. We really didn't get that. But we did have some surprising things that happened, to say the least. Now, I'm going to try to figure out where to start here. I jotted down some notes as I was watching the match. Some of the significant entrants and some of the significant eliminations. The winner caught me off guard. I picked Brock Lesnar to win this thing, and not only did Brock not win it, he got eliminated like a bitch again, and Goldberg is just owning this motherfucker. So anyway, let's start from the beginning. The first entrant was Cass. Big Cass, and he had to come out there and cut like a 5-minute promo. It was getting annoying. I'm like, dude, you should be wrestling by now. We're finally ready for the Royal Rumble. We've been waiting for it for about 5 hours, and now you're going to come out here and cut a long fucking promo? Get to business here. So after that shit, he finally gets in the ring, and number 2 entrant is Jericho. Chris Jericho comes out. They fight a little bit. I think we see Kalisto and Mojo Rawley around this time as well. Braun Strowman hits the ring at number 7, completely clears the ring, throwing out Kalisto. Kalisto didn't even touch the top rope, and I don't even think his feet touched the ring floor. I think they touched the aisleway because that's how far he threw him. He also got rid of Big Cass. I think he got rid of Mark Henry. He got rid of the Big Show, who came out and confronted him, and the two of them fought it on for a little while. That was pretty epic. That's kind of like a torch passing type situation there from Big Show to Braun Strowman, so I like the fact that Braun tossed him out. I forgot who eliminated Jack Gallagher, but he's out there with his umbrella. Was it Strowman? It might have been. But whoever eliminated Gallagher, he's got the umbrella open in the ring, and he was even on the top rope at one point with it, and he got thrown over. So the whole umbrella thing I had me at a loss for words. I couldn't even make a joke about it on Twitter because I just didn't know what the fuck to make of it. But it was pretty amusing, I guess. Oh, by the way, Sami Zayn came in at number 8 when Braun Strowman was done cleaning house the first time, and the two of them started fighting it on. So Sami was in there for a long time tonight, too. I wanted Sami to put on a Bob Backlund-like performance, but he really didn't. He was in there for a good amount of time. I don't even remember really at this point who eliminated him, but he didn't stay in there as long as I wanted him to. Jericho actually accomplished that. He was in there for nearly an hour. I'm not sure if he broke the hour mark or not. I think he definitely came close, though. And he spent most of his time on the outside of the ring just hiding out. The only really surprise entrant we got was number 10. Of course, they did bring in Ty Dillinger from NXT. A lot of the fans were kind of calling for that. WWE kind of had to do it. So I don't know if this is necessarily a main roster call-up for him, or if they just brought him in for one appearance and he'll go back to NXT and come back to the main roster at some other point. Now, Braun Strowman was one of the odds-on favorites to win this Royal Rumble. He was up there with Taker and Brock as far as probably the top 3 favorites to win it. And if he didn't win it, I was wondering who was going to eliminate him. But after he came out and attacked Roman Reigns in the title match, you were thinking to yourself, well, shit, Roman has got to come out there and cost Braun Strowman the match. It'll be a perfect way to get Braun Strowman eliminated without him getting thrown out by some other guy. And it can set up a Roman Reigns, Braun Strowman match at WrestleMania potentially, which means Roman Reigns will be out of the title picture, and that's great, or whatever. So that's kind of what I was expecting. But Braun Strowman got eliminated in a completely different way. He was getting double teamed and triple teamed and quadruple teamed throughout the whole match. I think Ambrose and Zayn and Corbin got their hands on him at one point and started beating him senseless, and Corbin nailed him with a vicious clothesline and completely eliminated Strowman right over the top rope hard to the outside of the ring. So that was a pretty big notch in Baron Corbin's belt to eliminate that big guy, because he was one of the favorites to win this thing. I thought he was going to be there at the end. I even suggested having Braun and Sammy be the final two at one point in one of my commentaries. So Strowman going out that early, especially with no Roman Reigns out there to make it happen, kind of surprised me a little bit. Some of the other great eliminations we saw Cesaro and Sheamus eliminate all three members of the New Day at once, which was great. And then Jericho eliminated Cesaro and Sheamus at once when they're fighting with each other on the ropes. So 5 guys went out pretty quick. Chris Jericho was very proud of that, walking around with his chest sticking out. I was laughing my ass off. He is so fucking hilarious. I cannot get over it. We had Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton hitting the ring next. They were in there together. Luke Harper then came out and attacked Bray Wyatt and almost hit him with the Sister Abigail. And then Randy Orton came in to save him by nailing Harper with the RKO. So Luke Harper might be about to go full-blown babyface, and I believe this was when we got Brock. Lesnar comes out there and just annihilates everybody. Suplex after suplex, even nails The Miz with an F5. I think he tossed Dean Ambrose and Dolph Ziggler out in like a matter of seconds as soon as he got in the ring, and then he just beat the hell out of everybody. And there's literally like 8 bodies laying around him. And then Enzo, I think, ends up coming out, and he's the next guy, and he kind of gets in the ring and gets killed, obviously, by Brock Lesnar. And then the guy after that was Goldberg, and here it is. We finally get the big confrontation that we've been waiting for between Goldberg and Lesnar. I thought one of these guys were going to win this thing. I thought Brock could win it. Goldberg could win the title at Fastlane, and the two of them could have a title match at WrestleMania. And I also thought that Brock Lesnar would probably eliminate Goldberg from the Royal Rumble, but the opposite of that happened. Goldberg got in the ring and did the exact same thing to Brock Lesnar that he did to him at Survivor Series. Hit him with a spear and tossed him right out of the ring. And the crowd was just like, they were flattened. I could not believe. My jaw dropped. I tweeted just the word what. I mean, I didn't even know what to say. I could not believe that they did that again. I mean, I don't have any problem with that. I wanted Brock to win. I kind of predicted him to win. But at least this builds more for WrestleMania, because really these two guys have had confrontations at 2 pay-per-views that have gone a grand total of about 2 minutes. So they are limiting their work together by building a story at the same time, because Goldberg can probably really only have one big long match. Otherwise, he's going to be exposed for not being the greatest worker. So maybe just one time and one time only, he can go out there and have a 20-minute match with Brock, which is why they probably went with a short match at Survivor Series and kept their time in the Rumble short as well. And I thought it built it just as well as it would have if these guys would have been brawling for 15 minutes. So it adds interest to the match, and now clearly you know that's the match we're going to get. You have to wonder what Brock is going to say about this on Monday Night Raw, or what Paul Heyman is going to say about it on Monday Night Raw, and how the challenge will happen, and if this is going to have any stipulation. Don't laugh at me, because I know I say this all the time, but what if Brock Lesnar is so mad that it's a loser leaves WWE match or something like that? Because you know Goldberg isn't going to stick around forever, and if he's going to have one final match before he retires and he's going to go out on his back, Brock would be a pretty good guy for Goldberg to choose to lose to on his way out the door, especially if he's able to squash him a couple of times before he gets to that match. Everybody saves face, everybody retires and goes into the sunset as icons, and everybody wins. So maybe Brock is so mad that he goes, I want your career on the line at WrestleMania. They go out there and do their thing. They outdo their match at WrestleMania 20 and make up for that big mistake. Goldberg has a decent match, maybe the best match possible for somebody of his age who hasn't been in the ring in 12 years. And that's it. Brock Lesnar finally F5s him and pins him and gets that monkey off his back, and Goldberg is now officially retired, and then he can go into the Hall of Fame next year. So I guess it's possible that that's what they're doing, but I really don't mind the shock factor. I like the shock factor. I like that we got that surprise. So I don't know if Brock, next time he comes to Raw, if he's still going to be pissed off and angry and wants to kill Bill Goldberg, or if he's going to maybe think that I don't want to mess with this guy and he's truly humbled, and maybe now he's a little bit scared of Goldberg because he can't seem to do anything to the guy. We get the dead man out next. I believe he was 27 or 28, something like that. And by the way, Brock, Goldberg, and Taker all had like 3 of the final 5 spots in the Rumble. So they all came in very late. And then we had Undertaker come out there, the big stare down and confrontation with Bill Goldberg, and was actually able to eliminate him. And if Goldberg was going to get eliminated from the Royal Rumble, the Undertaker is probably the best guy to do that to Goldberg, considering Goldberg's going to be in such a high-profile match at WrestleMania. And then we're coming up on number 30. We haven't seen any surprise entrants yet. There was a lot of rumors about Samoa Joe. All we had gotten so far was Ty Dillinger, so you thought at least one other NXT guy might come up. There's also been rumors of Finn Balor. Maybe he's healthy enough to return now, and if he has some big confrontation with The Undertaker at the Royal Rumble to set up a WrestleMania match, that would be awesome. And then the clock counts down to 0, the buzzer goes off, and out comes Roman fucking Reigns. Are you kidding me? I lost my mind. I was just thinking in my head, that's the most ironic part about it. I was just thinking in my head how nice it was not to have to worry about Roman Reigns being in the Royal Rumble, because he's been there the past 3 years. He's been involved all the way up until the end in all of those matches, and of course he won it and got booed out of the building a couple of years ago, and I thought that it was really nice that we just didn't have to worry about that. When you looked at the guys in the ring, no matter who won, I was like, okay, I'll be fine with it either way. At least we know that Royal Rumble is not going to end with the fans rioting. So when Roman Reigns came out, I was like, WWE, are you out of your fucking mind? I guess the story will probably be that they gave him that spot because he got screwed over by Owens and Jericho and Braun Strowman earlier on, and I thought he was going to win it. I thought he was going to win that match and the crowd was going to go nuts, and I'm thinking to myself, WWE has to know that he is not going to get a good reaction. The fans were chanting, "This is bullshit." I was legitimately mad because I thought the show was great up until this point, and if they would have ruined it by Roman Reigns winning, that would have been really hard to defend. And I think it would have diminished the work that he did with Owens earlier on in the title match. I think it would have diminished the work that Cena and AJ did, because everybody is going to remember this Royal Rumble for being so monumentally disappointed with the outcome of the Royal Rumble match. And WWE just cannot be that fucking stupid. The only way it was going to work is if Roman Reigns turned heel in the match and then cut a promo on the fans after the match and flipped them all the bird and said, "Fuck you, I'm going to WrestleMania and I don't give a shit about any of you anymore," and just turned into this big unstoppable ass-kicking machine and aligned himself with Paul Heyman or something like that. That was the only way a Roman Reigns victory in the Royal Rumble was going to be acceptable for somebody like me and probably for a lot of the fans as well. So I was incredibly nervous. But luckily, WWE, I'm going to be lighthearted about this and I'm going to admire their sense of humor, because they knew the fans were going to shit themselves. Twitter exploded when Roman Reigns came out. You had people already bitching, "Oh, this is horseshit. This is the dumbest fucking thing ever." And I would have agreed had Roman Reigns won, but he didn't. So I think it's WWE's way of just giving the fans a little bit of a heart attack and then saying, okay, we're not that crazy. See, somebody else is going to win instead. And I did not see the winner of the Royal Rumble coming. I did not think that it would be Randy Orton. Bray Wyatt, Randy Orton, and Roman Reigns were the last 3 in the ring. Bray Wyatt winds up getting eliminated, and Randy Orton is able to toss out Roman Reigns and win the Royal Rumble, and that is fucking great. So I was relieved that anybody but Roman Reigns won that. I did not want to have to deal with that in these commentaries. I didn't want to have to deal with these fucking fans freaking out. I just didn't want it. I would have been so upset if Roman Reigns would have won. So a big sigh of relief when Randy Orton won, although who is the WWE champion right now on SmackDown? That's right, John Cena. Could we fucking get that match? Are you kidding me? That's something I don't want to see. As happy as I was that Roman didn't win the Rumble, now that potentially sets up a Randy Orton-John Cena match, which I think would be crazy. I thought we have gone way past that. Hopefully we still have, because there has been some other rumors that have been going on in the past couple of weeks about Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt potentially having a title match at WrestleMania. Yes. Yes, yes, a million times yes. You're already going to have big marquee matchups with Brock Lesnar and Goldberg and Roman Reigns and The Undertaker and shit. I didn't even mention that, did I? But Roman Reigns tossed out The Undertaker and kind of stared him down and then said, "This is my yard now." So maybe that was a little heelish tendencies from Roman Reigns there, and I would love to see him go into his WrestleMania match with The Undertaker as a heel. I'd have no problem with that. But he's also got this thing going on with Braun Strowman, because Braun cost him the title match earlier on. So I'm thinking that Braun Strowman is going to be put in front of Roman Reigns at Fastlane, and he's going to get a big victory over a big monster like that, giving him all of this momentum to go into WrestleMania and face The Undertaker. And you got to wonder if it's just a straight up match, or if they still have time to work a title into this, I don't know. I mean, Kevin Owens is going to have to defend the Universal title at Fastlane, so who's he going to defend it against? You would think that they might give Roman another shot. They might give Seth Rollins a shot. We never even saw Seth Rollins tonight. He was banned from the building. I thought he would still find his way into the Royal Rumble. I thought that was such a waste. They could have used him out there, but I guess they're really building this feud with Triple H. He showed up and crashed NXT TakeOver San Antonio on Saturday night and called out Triple H, and Triple H came out to the aisleway and called the security to escort Seth Rollins out. So clearly they're going to work Mania, but I was really surprised that we didn't see Seth at the Royal Rumble at all. So I guess right now at WrestleMania, on the Raw side of things, we're looking at Goldberg versus Brock and Triple H versus Seth Rollins, and probably Roman Reigns versus The Undertaker. However, if all of that happens, you have to wonder where that leaves Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho. So Roman Reigns could still be involved in a title match, perhaps Roman Reigns versus The Undertaker, or Roman Reigns versus Braun Strowman at WrestleMania could be for the Universal title. If Roman Reigns is able to win it from Kevin Owens at Fastlane and they have the big match between Owens and Jericho at WrestleMania, or the likely match between Owens and Jericho at WrestleMania could be a title for title match. We had all been pegging it as a U.S. title match, assuming Owens would drop the Universal belt before WrestleMania. But maybe he keeps it. Maybe he goes in to face his best friend, winner take all. So that is another pretty likely possibility. And on SmackDown, everything still remains to be seen. We've got the big Elimination Chamber match coming up next month, and John Cena is going to have to defend the title in that. And a lot of people are saying that Bray Wyatt could win the WWE title in that and go on to defend it against Randy Orton at WrestleMania. Holy shit, yes. Why not? I think that's a great idea. It gives Bray Wyatt finally a world title program and a world title belt. Possibly Bray could even go into WrestleMania to retain. Who says Randy Orton has to win? We're going to have 2 title matches on that show anyway. I can live with one person retaining. So right now, that seems like the best option because I definitely don't want to see Randy Orton versus John Cena. Although I suppose we could see Randy Orton versus AJ Styles. That match I would be perfectly happy with if AJ's able to regain the belt in the Elimination Chamber somehow and go on to defend against Randy Orton. That's a match I can probably sink my teeth into. You want to know a match that I cannot sink my teeth into? The horrible rumors of AJ Styles potentially facing Shane McMahon. Fuck no. That's horrible. Now, they're saying that might happen because if AJ would have retained, Shane is kind of the reason that he would have to defend in the Elimination Chamber, but now he's not the champion anymore, so that can't piss him off too bad. So hopefully that whole idea has been dropped or scrapped because nobody wants to see that, especially me. So that's it for me. I'm going to get out of here. I will mention briefly, I did see NXT TakeOver. I watched it extremely late on Saturday night. Didn't even turn it on until about 2 in the morning and stayed up until about 4 to watch it. And I liked all the matches. It was a great show. I mean, they did a lot with a little. On paper, I really wasn't seeing how this TakeOver could be any better than some of their other ones, but it held up, and it had some great matches on there, some wars. I know I predicted the Authors of Pain to win the tag team titles, and I also predicted Asuka to retain the women's title, but I did not predict that Bobby Roode would win the NXT World title from Shinsuke Nakamura in a great match. I thought all the matches on TakeOver were amazing, and that main event felt like such a main event. I mean, the 2 epic theme songs, the 2 epic entrances, the crowd participation in both, and the 2 guys put on an awesome match, and Bobby Roode got the victory with the injured knee of Nakamura, which sets up plenty of rematches, I'm sure. And I'm hoping that once this is over, Bobby Roode can carry the torch for NXT and Nakamura can move up to the main roster. So anyway, I'm going to get out of here. You guys let me know what you thought about the show. It's possible I will throw this out there maybe tomorrow night after Raw. If the show is crazy good, maybe I'll come up and give a separate review of it. Otherwise, if it's just a typical Raw and a typical SmackDown, expect me sometime, probably late Tuesday night or early Wednesday this time. Might be a little earlier than I normally do commentaries because of my schedule, so you might get me sometime on Wednesday instead of having to wait all the way until Thursday, and we'll talk about everything that we see on Raw and SmackDown and the fallout to the Royal Rumble. So you guys have an excellent rest of your evening. Take care, and I'll talk to you very soon. Until then, peace.